Welcome to another episode of
Tell You First. So today we're here to talk about Samsui women, right, Haresh? And for those who know Mandarin, Hong Tou Jing, that's something that we've seen a lot in Singapore culture and history, right?
And what does that mean, the Mandarin?
Hong Tou Jing literally means red head scarf.
Okay.
Yeah, the Samsui woman wore, right? So this is something that Singaporeans, we've seen a lot in pop culture and, in statues around Singapore. What do you know about Samsui woman off the top of your head?
I know there was a show in the 90s, I believe, that was very popular and that my mom used to watch a lot.
Yeah.
But I was too young to give a damn.
And now you're not too young. Do you give a damn?
That's why I'm looking forward to this episode, Terence.
Yeah.
The other thing more recent was the controversial mural.
Oh, yes. Which we will talk about in a bit.
Yeah. So I know of the existence of Samsui women.
Yeah.
But I don't know enough about the history.
Yeah, I know. And the fantastic thing is that I'm not here to lecture you today.
Yeah.
Because I'm not the expert. Because on this episode, I'll tell you first, we're super excited because we got an actual expert here to talk about Samsui women. And she's none other than Lynn Wong, who's the founder and director of the social enterprise Bridging Generations. Hi, welcome, Lynn, to Tell You First. Can you tell us a little bit about what Bridging Generations is and what you do?
Sure. So, hi, Terence and Haresh. Thanks for having me here. So, Bridging Generations is a social enterprise. We basically look at heritage as assets that's living and try to reimagine them such that it engages the young as well as the old.
So I actually attended one of the tours, which was specifically about Samsui women in Singapore, the history of it. It was a walking tour that, it sounds like hardship, right? Walking in Singapore sun and all. But I mean, just hearing the stories of Samsui women, then I realized that's
Stop
what real hardship is.
Stop complaining.
Because Lynn was really leading a group of us and really showing us, where they lived, how they worked and everything. And so it was really, really eye-opening for everyone, which is actually an interesting thing that we're going to talk about today is how Samsui women are part of Singapore's history and culture. Haresh, like you said, in your youth, you didn't give a damn. But I'm sure visually you remember what Samsui women look like. Can you describe what Samsui women look like?
They wore, was it like the main thing was the hat. The red hat.
The red headdress.
The red headdress. And then blue, was it blue?
Generally dark blue outfits and all that, right?
And carrying like that thing on the shoulder.
The yoke, right?
The yoke, yeah.
But maybe this is a question that I'll ask him, then you can chime in, right?
Yeah.
Why do you think they wore that red headdress?
Just to clarify, I would also like to hear your thoughts when you were young. And
I'm asking the questions today. Okay, I'm asking the questions.
Making me look like an ignorant person.
It's okay. Why do you think they wore a red headdress when they were, primarily working in construction and hard labor kind of positions?
Easy to see from distance.
Okay.
Yeah. And maybe it was so hard that if there was any cuts or wounds, the blood won't stain the hat.
Was it correct?
Both completely wrong.
The first one, yes, definitely. But the second one, maybe not.
Okay.
That would be something that would be inauspicious.
Yeah.
So yes, it's correct that it's red is something that is eye-catchy.
Yeah.
So in the construction site, at least when someone is actually throwing bricks down, because in the past it's not as convenient where there's a lift or anything.
Yeah.
So people just throw things down and just make sure that no one is coast is clear and just throw things down.
Yeah.
Besides that, actually, it's also very practical because I'm not sure how often do you wash your hair in a week.
You mean like with shampoo? And all that?
Yeah, sure.
Once every few days?
Without shampoo then?
Every day I'll just wet it. But the shampoo is like once every 3 days, not every day.
So that explains why it's so slick, your hair.
It's the natural oils that keeps it, it is.
Okay.
And you can also ask Terence the same question.
Yes.
I'm not the only one to be questioned here.
Yeah, but okay. So back to why the Samsui woman and why the hair, right? Because in the past, it's not very common for them to wash their hair. Because they live in shop houses and, there'd be like 20 old people, 30 old people trying to squeeze and get that the time to shower.
Oh,
It takes
okay.
time to dry the hair as
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
So the Samsui women, they would like to protect their hair, especially you're working in the construction site. There'll be cement, there'll be dust. Imagine it sticking to your hair. That is very very horrible. That's why having this redhead scarf actually helps to protect the hair.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
so they
see.
actually will cover their ears as well, so that everything is just protected.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
I mean, we're just speaking superficially about how they look, right? But maybe we can go back to the origins of it, because my understanding of Samsui women was that they were female immigrants that came to Singapore in the 1930s from the region Samsui in China, which literally means three waters, right? And it's actually in a district in Guangdong today, a province in southern China. And a lot of them came in the 1930s in large numbers, and they found work as manual laborers in the construction industry in Singapore, right? But for you, like, what is your interest in researching and advocating for the Samsui women heritage and all?
I guess right now, of course, we always talk about the Samsui women, even they are portrayed in, say, during National Day and stuff like that. But I think what we know of them is sort of stuck at the superficial level. We do not really talk of them like as if, I mean, especially my generation, most of them might not have even seen one before. So you sort of romanticize them, and there's a lot of misconceptions about them. Somehow, even though we say, oh yes, Samsui woman, but then yes, can we go deeper? Like, is there any food they do not like to eat? Is there a thing that do they get married or not? And stuff like that, right? So that's why, even when the mural came about, there was a lot of hoo-ha, and that's where we realized that I think a lot of people do not know much about the Samsui woman, thinking that they are stuck in time like that old wrinkled women that came over, but they are all young women when they came over, right? To contribute.
Yeah. So they were, I mean, you brought with you a mascot, I suppose, is it a Bridging Generations mascot?
Yeah, its name is Chichi.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you're those watching on video, not watching on video, there's a little, it's a bird.
It's a magpie.
A magpie who is wearing the literal red headdress that we were talking about earlier, right? And I believe that headdress they used starch to try and make it as hard and thick as possible as well, right?
Yes, I think for most army boys would have the experience of having that starched uniform.
Yeah.
So the same way that it's being done.
I see.
And what is that headdress called? Is there a name for it?
Not really a name, but it's just somehow they just call it the red headdress.
Okay.
Literally.
Right?
Okay.
But I understand also that they could also store items in that headdress. Like there was a little space where they could put like cigarettes, matches, and even money inside. Is that true?
Yes, that's definitely true. Yeah, because
okay.
If you are working hard in the construction site, you might not have pockets or anything. So just very conveniently have something in your head. Just protecting. It's good to always know that your piggy bank is just your piggy bank is just on your head. Like, no one's gonna touch it.
I see. So not only a certain very distinctive look, but also there was functions that were very unique to it as well.
Yes.
But what you were saying earlier was that they also wore this blue color or dark blue uniform and all. What's the significance of that blue uniform that they would wear?
I would say it's just more of something that they commonly wear. They call it 大正蓝. It's a particular kind of blue. And it's just probably because it's they work in a construction site, so it's just something that you can withstand dust and stuff like that. So not much of a significance per se.
Okay, and I understand the shoes also were quite unique, right?
Not really shoes, but really DIY slippers, sandals.
Because from my understanding is that they cut pieces of rubber from used tires and then strapped it to their feet, and that was what gave them traction in the construction sites that they worked in.
Yes, but it's also very there'll be a lot of incidences whereby you just like how women now wear high heel shoes. You still get a lot of this blisters and all. Yeah, so even more with those sandals that they actually make on their own.
I see.
So when we actually dress up to do the tours, we don't wear that because it's really going to be very painful.
Oh yes. That's one distinctive thing about your tours that I also forgot to mention was that they actually wear the Samsui women uniform when they are leading the tours as well.
Oh, I see.
So it's quite a striking sight to be walking around the CBD area and then you're being led by a Samsui woman.
Oh, then did you put anything in your headdress?
Good point. Maybe next time I should.
Just to
It's not like a
demonstrate.
pockets.
I see, correct. Yeah.
So I mean, we all kind of have an understanding of how Samsui women looked at right back in the day. But I did want to just talk a little bit about how they actually got here, or why they came here. So my understanding is that there were maybe about as many as 2,000 Samsui women who were believed to have come to Singapore during the 30s. And there was a wave of immigration back then of Chinese female migrants, almost 200,000 who came in the 1930s. But only 2,000 of them were actually Samsui women. Was that an accurate representation of numbers? Or?
I'm not sure where the numbers came from, but I believe it should be more than that.
More than that?
Yeah.
Okay.
As in which number more? Or
2,000
more than
women.
2,000 Samsui
Yes,
women.
I
Okay,
believe
okay.
so.
Okay.
Yeah. Because they lived on the Tofu Street, the entire street. So 2,000 will be slightly on the lower side.
Lower side. But in your estimation, do you remember how many approximately?
Not off my mind, but definitely not 2,000.
Not 2,000.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay.
so like significantly more.
Yes, definitely.
Significantly.
Because
Okay,
1930s, that's when there was the Aliens Ordinance Act.
Yeah.
And so there's a restriction of number of males coming in. So sometimes they could be selling one ticket to have one male coming, and then they must bring along, say, like 4 or 5 other females to come on board the ship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was one of the big pull factors, right, in Singapore, that male Chinese immigrants were not say banned, but restricted for a while because the ratio of men to women was a bit too overwhelming. So they actually opened it up for Chinese female immigrants to come in, and that's why they flooded in much during that period, and just to sort of balance out the ratio a bit, right?
Yeah, I guess that's also one of the pull factors. There's also push factors because there's famine, there was war back in China as well. Yeah, so the women had to just step up and take on the role of being the breadwinner of the family.
And they all come from one part of China, or came from one part of China.
So basically, Guangdong province itself is a huge one, and then there are actually more than 16 types of Cantonese within Singapore itself. So Samsui is just one Cantonese community.
Oh,
Yeah.
And it's pronounced Samsui.
Yes, correct.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay.
So they were really an immigrant population that really came to work in Singapore to send money back and provide for their families back in Samsui. Well, was there any particular reason why Samsui was in such dire straits that they needed to send so many of their people overseas to work?
Yeah, so as its name came about, like Samsui, so because there's convergence of a lot of rivers, so it's always flooding. If it's if it's little rain, it's just a little flood. But then when it's a huge, like a lot of downpour, then that's where the flood is just very terrible. And then there's no rain, that's worse, right? That's famine and drought. So so natural factors actually push them out because of geographical situations that they are not having on the upper end compared to, say, other parts of the Canton region. Like, for instance, if you compare it to Majies, where they came from is Sunde. That region, they are well known for their silk production and stuff like that. So they are actually they are involved in industries that's a bit more well-paying. So compared to the Samsui, because of the kind of geographical location, they are not as, the kind of industries they get, or even like the jobs they have available, is not as much lah.
But why only the women left?
Good question. Yeah, because I think that's where just now we mentioned about the Aliens Ordinance Act, because of the restriction of males coming in. So women have to just step up.
It's like last time going to a club, right? The guy-girl ratio. You have to stop more guys from coming in and only allow the ladies in.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, and not just that, because it's also economical factors, right? Because that's when there was the Great Depression. And so actually paying 4 females could be equivalent to paying 1 male. So it just makes more sense to get more females coming to work.
I see.
I see.
And I mean, we talk about them just coming like that, right? But back in the 1930s, coming to Singapore, what kind of journey did that entail?
Yeah, it really depends on the winds, right? So you look at the monsoon winds, and then it can take about 7 days or even longer, depending on whether the wind blows.
And this is on a large, like a ship, right?
Yes, it can take longer as well.
I'm guessing not the most comfortable ships.
Of course, and usually it's at the bottom of the deck, so you don't really see sunlight.
Wow.
It's not like we take cruise kind of thing. And a lot of them might actually die along the way.
Oh, really?
Yes. And if you get any illness, you might just be thrown overboard.
But would it normally have stopped at different ports, or is it direct?
The port could be, say, in Hong Kong, of course, before even coming to mainland Singapore, you will have to go to St. John's Island for quarantine. Yeah, but before that, the journey is very long. Yeah.
So you say you had to quarantine at St. John's
Yes, of
Island?
course. Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, quarantine existed before COVID.
I see. And my understanding as well is that some of them, to pay for this journey, they also had to get into debt, right? And pay a recruiter of a certain fee that they would work in Singapore to pay back, right?
Yes, correct.
Is that like what kind of debt did it entail?
Yeah, so because coming over, you have to pay what we call the 水客 or the waterman. 水客.
water guest.
Yeah, water guest. Yeah, someone to actually help to pay for the ship fees, even like the food and even coming over, you probably need lodging, and that's where you need to borrow money first.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Borrow from the people who bring you.
Yes, correct.
I see.
Yeah.
I see. And so when they come here and then, they do the quarantine and everything, my understanding is that they then were sort of like consolidated with all the other Samsui women in the Chinatown area, right?
Not say they consolidate. Okay, so means I think it's a self-selection.
Okay.
Right? It's not as if someone like hurt them over there, but it's more of like, because if you have someone from the same village coming over, you prefer to have someone, because they actually, even though Cantonese, they seem like a homogeneous group, they can be speaking different tongues as well, right? So it's always good to have someone from the same exact village to help you.
I see. And they would be gathering a lot of times, to actually find work, like this very ad hoc kind of contracts that they would have to work on different things.
Yes.
Like what was the economy like for them? Like what did it mean to find work?
Yeah, I would say I would not use the word contract per se, because it's really day to day whether you can even snatch for a job.
I see.
Right, so you really just have to stood down there and just wait for the morning. Lorry comes, and then that's where they give out these joysticks of sorts to see whether you get that position to get that work for the day. Right, so you're paid based on that day, and if it rains, then you do not get any pay at all. Yeah. So even if you say you work 3 hours, sorry, it rains, so no more.
Oh, that means the rain, that means they stop all work on the construction site.
Yes, and so means that day itself you don't have pay.
Got it.
Oh, they don't prorate, no nothing.
Yeah, no prorate. Yeah, no workers' welfare, no nothing.
I suppose there's no Employment Act back then, right?
Yeah, and also if there's a lorry to pick you, but sometimes you might have to pay for the lorry as well. So sometimes they might just choose to walk.
Yeah.
So imagine you have to walk from say Chinatown all the way to say NTU right now. That's a long distance.
Yeah.
So you have to leave right in the morning, like say 5 a.m. or sorts, and walk all the way to start work.
And when you say start work, we know that a lot of it was as general laborers on construction sites, right? What kind of physical labor did they have to do on these sites?
Yeah, they have to carry very heavy bricks and balance on both sides of the shoulders. And in the past, there's no lifts, right? And probably there's a pulley system, but not as well as today, right? So they really literally have to. It's very precarious.
Yeah.
They have to balance, and imagine all these women being, say, as young as 12 years old all the way to older age. So they can be still very premature, not grown up yet, right? And yet they have to withstand all this kind of pressure. So a lot of them could have stunted growth as well.
I see. And what kind of wages were they working for, like on a daily basis?
I would say it's pretty. It's a bit better paid than say those working in the rubber factory. Because I think even if I give exact numbers right now, it doesn't make sense, because what is 20 cents and what is 80 cents, right? But basically, if you compare with other women, say working in the rubber factories or doing the canning or sewing, definitely they are much more better paid.
Better paid.
But of course, it's hard labor.
I see. But I guess that's why I wanted to ask, like, why specifically like physical labor? Why did the Samsui women choose to do that such hard physical labor when there were other options of, whether it's caring for children or working in factories or something?
Yeah.
Is there something specifically that they felt they were better suited for?
I think sometimes it's also because of what are the options available and who can actually recommend you those jobs. So someone pioneer came and joined the construction industry, and that's where many more joined them. Because any kind of projects, you need a lot of people. Just like now when you want to do GPs, right?
Yeah.
You bid for one job, you need to have a lot more people under you to do that project because it's big,
I
right? You
see.
cannot handle it on your own. And that's where they have this thing called kapala, so like little like their heads, and then they will have the people from the same village they can trust to do the work. Right. So somehow that's why a lot of these different kinds of industry or trades, there will be, you notice different kind of like clans or different kinds of communities sort of like consolidating and working in that industry. That's the reason why. Because someone pioneer started out and then the rest just follow on.
I see.
So I mean, was there something about the Shansui way of life that made them very adaptable to doing work like general helping? Because I mean, if you think about the Gurkhas from Gorkhaland in Nepal, like for them, being part of the military is something that every boy aspires to be part of. But for Shansui, was there any kind of thing like that?
I guess life is just so hard.
Yeah.
And of course, I think there's a distinction to make as well, because not all the women in the China who came over were of the same kind of background. So give you an example. We know there's the Hokkiens, there's the Teochews, there's Cantonese. So back then, even in China, it was more common for the Cantonese women to go out to work compared to the other dialect groups. So because Teochews, they have to work, they cannot really show their faces in the public, right? They have to just do any domestic kind of work, like is it making jaw sticks or like embroidery. Whereas for the Cantonese women, it's very common even back in the 19th century for them to be just out in the fields and doing things, right? So I think that's the reason why also when the wave of women coming over, a lot of them are actually from the Cantonese region.
I see.
Compared to other regions.
I see.
Got it.
Yeah.
So the work ethic, the work ethic, like, or just being out there and just doing work every day.
And I think it's not the ethic. I think it's really more of how the society sees you.
Okay.
Right, because a lot of times maybe it's a patriarchal society, right? Whether men, whether should have women even go out?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, I see. So, my understanding is they started work very early in the morning. By dawn, they already had to be out there, either on the way to the work site or jostling for a job. They will work through the day, and then they maybe have like a very sparse lunch of like, some rice and pickles or veggie or something to get them through the day.
Do you know what's your favorite beverage?
Their favorite beverage?
Oh, is it guessable? You think we
Yeah,
can guess this?
of course.
Was Milo back then available?
No, I think the water that after you cook rice, the water, or you wash rice, the water.
Interesting,
Soybean.
So I mean, something that you made for me, but not so sweet.
White coffee.
Yes, kopi o kosong.
Okay.
Kopi o kosong.
Yeah,
I guess they'll keep them awake and everything through the day.
That's something that they really like a lot.
And even like that's considered Nanyang coffee. I'm guessing coffee in China is similar as well.
No, actually
What an ignorant comment from me.
No.
Wow.
No, it's just
It
more
was an ignorant
in a way that I'm proud of, because that's something also why Singapore, we have things that actually China doesn't have.
Okay. Yes,
See,
yes.
Terence is a silver lining to my ignorant comment.
Yeah. You want to throw in bubble tea or something?
Okay, please carry on mansplaining. Go ahead, Terence. Carry on the mansplaining.
So it was a very simple kind of work day for them. They work many hours, and then after that they finish work like when 5, 6 when the sun is about to set. And they basically went home to very modest accommodations as well. I think on the tour you brought us to certain parts of Chinatown, and then it was very interesting. You asked us to stand like in a square area, and then you asked us to look down, and basically that small area that I drew around myself, because I'm not a small person, but I drew a small box around myself, and you said that's where 4 women are going to be sleeping, right?
Yes.
So my understanding is that they had to not only work together, but also live in very close quarters with other Samsui women. Like what kind of arrangements were they living in?
Yeah, so I think definitely they wanted to save more money to send back home. So that's why taking up hard labor work, as well as trying to save up on different ways that they could. So living in small places is one thing, but also when you choose rooms, you might want to choose somewhere with more ventilation, not too near toilet or whatever, right? So but then for them, they would just choose the worst options because they want to really save more.
Wow.
Yeah.
This was like usually the second floor or the higher floors of shop houses around Chinatown.
It may not be about the level of the floor, but really which part of the shop house that is maybe the least rentable. So it could be under the staircase as well. It could be somewhere without lights, without ventilation.
Well, that's like the complete opposite of the modern day renter.
Of course.
Oh.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but basically, if I hear you correctly, their day-to-day job was going around looking for work, and it's just any hard labor. lah.
So they would, because after a while, people know where to find the Samsui woman, right? So that's where they would just stood around the area along Tofu Street, which is today's Upper Chinchu Street. Okay, that street is gone already, but that's where we brought y'all to as well.
Yeah.
But it's anyway near Upper Cross Street.
Okay.
Yeah, so they'll be just waiting down there, and then jobs will come.
And the jobs would be hard labor jobs.
Yes.
All hard labor jobs. But I mean, the labor was hard. Living quarters also weren't the most comfortable. But what would they do like in the evening to relax or just like wind down for the day? Like, what would they normally be doing?
Would this be PG?
Oh yeah,
It doesn't need to be PG.
but if there's something interesting, sure.
No, but
say first, then we can.
no. But anyway, it's more of like what the mural depicted, like smoking. That's one of their ways to actually, just like how coolies back then, they'll be smoking opium to sort of like to forget their pain. Right. So similarly for Samsui women, they'll be smoking cigarettes. Yeah, so it's very common actually.
But then their meals during the day?
It'll be very simple, like rice and then
But
some.
who would provide it? Or they will get
They'll-
themselves?
Bring their own. They got a storage space in
Oh no, they don't have
Oh, no, okay.
Just
Bamboo baskets. Okay.
Ridiculous, no. How much do you think they eat, yeah?
Hey, I mean, you can nowadays with the technology, and you can wrap your food and
You
little
think they just have one
onigiri and
lasagna
everything.
sheet?
Have you
Just like,
eaten an onigiri before and seen how it's
they
compressed?
Japanese or Chinese?
Yeah, I know.
Terence, please.
No, but I mean, I guess everything we're talking about here really paints a picture of them living very simple lives, right? Very thrifty, and really just about providing for their family back then. Was there? I understand that they saved a lot of money through all those things that we talked about, but they did spend on one thing, which was to get professional writers to help them write letters to communicate back home. So were Samsui women weren't they able to read and write themselves? Most
of them will be illiterate. Yeah.
I see. And but then communicating with the people home it's not like today where you can like send WhatsApp and all these things. It literally was like a letter a month or something like that they did, right?
Yes.
But do you know if when they were here in Singapore, were a lot of them like desperately missing home, waiting to go home, or were they just settled into the new life here?
Definitely, they will be looking forward to go home because their whole family, like their husbands, their children, will be all back in China, right? So definitely, I mean, if you're a mother, right, you'll always be thinking about your children.
Sure.
Yeah. So for them, it's really just trying to save up, and so these letters will come with remittance, so with the money as well.
Yeah.
But did they go to any other parts of the world or just mainly Singapore?
Of course, definitely go to different parts of the world, but the Hong Tou Jing, this outlook with the red headscarf, definitely only in Singapore.
Singapore exclusive.
Has there kind of been any identification of who was the OG Samsui woman?
Wow, not really, but since the 1800s, they've already been here already.
Because I mean, I'm guessing there must have been at one point they were like, hey, we need to cover our heads, and then someone had a red cloth,
Yeah.
and it came to be, but no idea who was the first.
Yes, we can only guess, but we really guess that it could, because there's no other parts of the world that has the red headscarf.
Yeah.
Not even in China, not even in Malaysia, only Singapore. So something unique. So probably we're guessing that because of how you see where the Samsui woman used to live, it's actually very near the Sri Mariam temple. Right, and then all the other Tamil community in the area, they would definitely get some inspiration of how people know, like the Sikhs wrapping their heads and everyone else.
I see.
Probably getting inspiration from there.
So saying inspiration from Sikhs wearing turbans.
That's
and
like
then
one
maybe,
of the guests. that we
I
can
see.
have. Yeah.
Because I mean, incidentally, our national flag color is also red, right?
But that
Not back then.
that was after
that was
that. Right?
colonial era.
Yeah lah. No,
There was no Singapore red and white flag back then.
I'm saying coincidentally, like our country ended up using red as a national color. Guys, give me a break lah. Walao eh.
Bubble tea question.
No, I'm saying feels like that red thing, there's a lot of significance with regards to our culture lah.
Yes.
It transcends independence.
But I thought she made a stronger point that because in Singapore it was multicultural.
Yeah.
That they lived next to Hindu temples and they saw how other cultures were, wearing headdresses and all that.
Yeah.
So that's where actually it might have come from. Not necessarily because red is like lucky
Oh
color.
no,
in
but
Chinese.
red definitely is chosen because lucky.
Lucky,
Definitely,
okay.
definitely. But the look of it is.
The look. It could have been a head.
You should see the pride from his face.
She
Just straight in.
could have wrapped the head.
Thank you for correcting him.
Where's the starch come from? But anyway, there's another thing that you also mentioned earlier. You said that a lot of them, they had family at home, husbands even though some of them were very young. So a question sometimes people ask is, then why didn't they get married to men here? Since there was such a, it seems to be like a lot more men and all. Why didn't the Samsui women like try to find, husbands here or what?
I mean, it's not like in the right now whereby you get to choose who your partner or mate is,
Yeah.
right? Back then it would be sort of like an arranged marriage.
Sure.
Yeah. So since young, you would somehow know. Usually, it's within the whole same village. You will not sort of like look into another community.
Okay.
Right,
Okay.
it's not that common.
Yeah.
Of course, not saying that it's not impossible, lah, right? Because for them back then in China, right, the kind of thinking is that life is akin. I mean, the afterlife is this akin to being alive, right? So that's where the women will need to have someone to look after them after they pass on. So they need to be part of someone's lineage, like part of the family. That's why they all get married. Yeah. So generally they do not get to choose. If someone from China, from Singapore, from China would arrange. So even if say when they come here when they're much younger, and then back home they arrange the marriage, the male cannot come over here to sort of like consummate marriage or anything. They will actually have a rooster to come in place. So take the role of the husband, the
For
to-be
wedding
husband.
ceremony.
Yes, for the ceremony.
Oh, wow.
To show that she's taken.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
What, you mean the wedding ceremony back in
Here in Singapore.
here?
Yeah. So like in two different places.
Yeah.
So back there they will also have they will perform some rituals, and then here some rituals to show that yes, both of them have already have tied the.
So she would be like with a rooster in Singapore.
Yes, so she have to spend the night with the rooster as well.
It's like
But
now we got Zoom call, right? So it's like, now it's the representation of the person, the avatar is the rooster.
Yeah,
lah.
yeah.
But then in China, what would the husband?
He'll not do anything because I mean the guys can always get more women.
Oh, wow, that's crazy.
Damn, that's
Yeah.
That's
crazy.
But I did in my research, I did find one, nugget that I wasn't fully convinced about, which I wanted to ask, right? They said that a lot of the women who actually came here were already like 18 to 20 years old, which apparently was already considered too old to get married. Is that even possible? Like, how's that?
Yeah, I
How's
mean,
that
guess
true?
back then, okay, in the whole context, right? Because back then lifespans are so short.
Yeah.
Imagine, relatively, if you die at 40 years old, 20 is old.
Yeah.
Right,
it's half
but
good
now
life.
we live till 100 years old. Like 20 is young,
Yeah.
right? So I think we need to take things in perspective.
Okay. Got it. So, I mean, I think you touched on it that they have very close familial ties with their village or even their own very, very small communities. But most of them spoke Cantonese and they were part of the Cantonese dialect group, right? But they also had a reputation for being very fierce and aggressive and very closed off to
Protective.
strangers. Yeah. Why is that so? Is that something about the dialect group or what was it?
I guess when you're abroad, you tend to want to protect your own people. I guess they are used to really going out there and fighting for their own rights. So they are very vocal about just trying to protect their own. Is it themselves or even like people who are part of their close, their kin, right? So yes, they are very fierce in a sense. I would say fearless.
Yeah.
But was there like a hierarchy amongst the women who were in Singapore?
What made you think of the hierarchy?
I
Is it
mean-
like SQ uniform like that?
Oh no,
Different colour.
no, because just when such a big group of people self-organize, feels like it can't be all pure democracy lah. I would imagine lah. Just I mean in terms of not being sexist or anything. I'm just saying because I know Terence is looking at me. I'm just saying in the history of humans, tribal culture, we look at our ancestors. There are always people who take charge and yeah.
Yes.
Was there any social order?
Of course. I mean, like you just now mentioned the clan association. So that would be a patriarchal kind of community. But that said, because of how the women were already sort of like breadwinners for the family, they hold a lot of respect for these women. So if you see a lot of the clan associations among the Chinese community, amongst the Cantonese, you see actually much more female representation in the clans compared to, like, say, the Hokkiens or Teochews, right? In terms of getting the position, not just a member, but being in leadership roles. So all this, the women, they definitely are very fearless in fighting for their rights, or even like, just getting the position, not just for the sake of the position, but really to help the community.
I see.
And so, they were very visible in their communities, right? And that's something interesting because they were very visible in construction sites, in their roles as manual laborers. Even through independence, even after Singapore became independent, they were still working in construction sites, even apparently all the way till the 80s as well. Yeah, you would see a lot of them still, even in their, in their 70s, they still be working and all that. But what made them sort of disappear from the construction sites, like from the 80s onwards and all that?
Well, there are alternatives.
It's
right?
true, yeah.
Right. You have lorries, you have forklifts, you have other workers from other countries coming over to take over the jobs. But in that said, I think going back to one of the things that you're sharing, right? Because the Samsui women actually built a lot of things that we still use today, or even we might not. We would not think it's possible. For instance, like Bishan MRT station.
Yes,
they were also involved in that.
Yes.
How?
They built it.
They were working on the station, yes.
Really?
Yeah. So I had a point to say later, but there literally is a photo that you can find online where the opening of I think Bishan station itself, where they invited 3 Samsui women to wearing the full regalia and everything to actually take the train, and it's fantastic to see the children sitting there next to people dressed like how people in the 80s used to dress. And that was like the inaugural journey of that train in Bishan station.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And they also built like the highest, back then the highest building, the Asia, what's it called? The one in CBD area.
One of the financial
correct.
buildings. I see.
Oh. And when you say build, that means they were part of the construction team, like
they were carrying the bricks and everything.
So it really was like they were really still on site even in the 80s and all that, right?
Yeah.
But I think the thing is that if you think about how old they would be now, a lot of the Samsui women who came in the 30s, even at 12 years old, they'd be easily in the 90s or 100 years old now already, right? If still alive, right? My understanding is also a lot of them subsequently, when they were, they moved out the shop houses or they retired from working as manual laborers, a lot of them ended up living alone in a lot of rental HDB flats in the Bukit Merah or Red Hill area, and some were even collecting cardboard to get by or receiving charitable donations. Why is it that a lot of these Samsui women, after retiring, after finishing their life's work in Singapore, why did they not move back to China where they came from?
That's a good question. Well, there are a group of this Samsui women. I think they felt like here is home. It could also be because back there in China, the family sort of like, the truth is that not all families are sort of grateful. So then they just have to make do and just make this place their home.
Yeah.
So there are such sad cases as well. About the part about you saying about them collecting cardboards, sometimes I think that it's not about, of course, in our own lenses right now, we see that, it's a very poor thing. Why are they collecting cardboards to live by? But I've seen quite a number of this kind of women through that, those era. I think it's not about them trying to collect cardboards to make to live by, but really they want to have that sense of autonomy. It's that dignity that in them that they want to be able to still feed for themselves.
Yeah.
So I think because I did see a Ma Jie also went through that. So she really wants to do it. She wants to, and then once you stop them from doing it, their health deteriorates.
Because they don't stay active and all.
Yes.
I see. I mean, the interesting thing was that I think in the 90s, the Samsui Waikun, the clan association, actually made an effort to fund a trip for some Samsui women to actually go back home to China. And I think 1996, they sent 7 of them to visit their hometowns to also pay respects to the ancestors' graves in China. But actually, some still refused to go. They said that they didn't want to travel because, it'd be too much to fly there. But the other aspect that I thought was, kind of bittersweet was like you said, Singapore is home to them. And most of their family actually has already passed on, even in China. So there was almost no reason for them to go back there and just visit the graves.
It also, another thing is that because if you go back to China, because China went through cultural revolution and there's a lot of different regimes that changed, right? And so when they went back, a lot of them are stateless. So there'll be many, many years, if you continue staying down there, you will not have the access to welfare or even correct. So that's one of the reasons why also some of them just stay in Singapore instead.
Yeah. And it's quite interesting because there were a couple of news articles that talked about after they came back from their visit, what did they see there? They asked them, and some of the Samsui women were very sad to see that their childhood friends that they hadn't seen in years, were staying alone in retirement homes. So like what you were saying earlier about that spirit of like they want to be out there, they want to be autonomous, all that. That was what saddened them when they saw their friends like reliant on care in homes and all. So that's where maybe going back is not exactly the happy occasion that everyone imagines it to be for them also. They've lived a very hard life, but Singapore is where they've made their home, right?
Yeah, but also I think there's many factors as well, because a lot of societal pressures. Imagine if you, for instance, you study abroad, right, and then you come back, they say, oh, you must bring a lot of goodies back. Right? So the same thing for them, right?
Correct.
Imagine they might not make a lot, but then because of them, status of being abroad, they go back. There's also a lot of this kind of stereotype that people they fulfill as well. Yeah,
I see.
It's quite stressful for them.
Okay. I mean, that's generally the history and where and how Samsui women have become part of Singapore's infrastructure, right? But I mean, we've talked about how they've been honored as well, whether it's statues and featured in National Day parades, or like the mascot that you're seeing in front of you, it's being celebrated like that. Do you feel like Singapore, we recognize the efforts or we recognize the contributions of Samsui women? Do we recognize them enough?
I feel that people would sort of like on the surface say, yes, this is like our icons kind of thing. But I think we hope that people will really know their lives a bit more, understand beyond just like a very like a cliche like, oh, Samsui woman, and like that's it, full stop. Right, really go beyond to understand the kind of struggles they went through to make Singapore what it is today.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it's just like you just say, hardship, full stop. Then what's next, right? How can we really understand, like, is it wearing the slippers, the sandals, and then having your blood seep through, and then yet still having to climb how many flights of stairs just to carry the bricks up?
Yeah.
Right, something much more vivid, so people understand that is really hardship.
And I think one thing that you talked about during the tour, which I thought was very profound, was the idea that it is the Singaporean story, the immigrant story coming here and you leave everything, your family and your life behind, and you come to Singapore. And it's very important that these stories are never lost, right? Whether even if they're not our direct ancestors or what, that's the story of the immigrants that moved to Singapore in the first place. And if we don't capture those stories and we don't tell those stories to our younger generations, then someone else will tell the story for us and we lose that history.
Yes, very true. I mean, I'm not sure if I should say it in a podcast, but I mean, there are different political factors out there, right? And definitely history should be told by Singaporeans, rather than someone else. If not,
But why do you think like the story of Samsui women adds so much weight or depth to the Singapore story?
Well, it's really, if you realize, right, if you look at, like, say, the Founders Memorial or whatever, a lot of it is the male story.
The founding fathers.
Yes, and then, like, the forefathers.
Yeah.
I think what's lacking now is, like, talking about the foremothers and not talking as them as a group, because a lot of times you realize that it's the individuals that are more easily remembered. Whereas when it's a group, it's just like a broad stroke, like, oh yes, like that's it. But they themselves, each of them have their own characters, their own personalities as well. Yeah. So I think this is something that we like to dig a bit more. Share the women's stories, because generally it's always history and not, that's why we call our tour Her Story of the Samsui woman, or Her Story of the Mazes. Right.
I mean, it blows my mind that they literally paved the roads and built some of the buildings that we used to. I mean, Bishan MRT, literally. So it's kind of a crazy thought. But I mean, that's it. Like, other than the very serious representations of Hong To Jing or this Samsui woman in Singapore, in pop culture also, it has been featured quite a bit. I think you mentioned earlier the back then the Singapore Broadcasting Corporation, which is now known as Mediacorp. They had a Chinese language drama that was very popular, literally titled Hong To Jing. It was, I think, in May or June 1986 when it was released, and it chronicled the lives of 5 women who, ended up with very different fates, over the years, right? But the interesting thing for me was that you look at the interviews that the producers of the shows did earlier, they said that it was very hard to get information about the Samsui woman, because the Samsui woman was so, they didn't want to share the stories with them. They didn't want to record interviews. They didn't want to tell them about the hardships that they endured. So a lot of, they had to make a lot of guesses and conjectures about what their life was like. Does that, I mean, and that does tie into what we said earlier about they're not exactly the friendliest outsiders. But why is it that even the story that, years later, 20, 30 years later, they don't want to even share that story?
Actually, I feel that it's really the mode in which the interview is being done. Because based on my own experience, I have interviewed a number of these people. The thing is that you need to use the correct language. So for instance, there's this particular interviewee. A lot of people try to interview her and they say, oh, she's a woman with a few words. Only at most you get like 5 minutes interview and that's about it. But when I got the correct interpreter speaking the correct dialect, not the Cantonese dialect, but that particular county dialect to speak, this person spoke for 2 hours straight.
Oh, really?
Yes. And then tell you stories that you would never imagine. Like, that's a Maji's story already.
Sure.
But anyway, so I think it's really getting the right way to get the stories out. Yes.
I think the Straits Times could have used your expertise back then. Because literally the title of the article, they said, the heroines who wouldn't talk. That's how they labeled the.
Yes, I mean, because there's another interview I did interviews, and someone else wrote, say, oh, this person with a few words can only get like 2 lines out of her, but gosh, I got a 2 hours recording sharing.
Wow.
Yeah,
super valuable.
So this particular tour, the Samsui Woman tour, I'm glad that we got my colleague Pauline Fan, who's a descendant of a Samsui woman, to actually share that.
Yeah, it is. It's very profound because she can tell very personal stories about her grandmother and all as well.
And she tell the jokes that someone else cannot tell, right? Because it's her grandmother.
That's true. But I mean, that was like in the 80s, right? But in more recent years, I think you alluded to, and both of you alluded to, the mural incident of 2024, where basically there was a mural of a young Samsui woman smoking a cigarette in her hand, and it sparked a very big debate in Singapore, right? Because what happened was that the authorities initially ordered that the cigarette on that mural needs to be removed, and they even cited anonymous members of the public who had emailed saying that the woman depicted, the Samsui woman depicted in the mural looks more like a prostitute than a hardworking Samsui woman. So that's literally quoting what they said in there. And there was a lot of uproar about that. But after weeks of public debate about it, the URA and the Ministry of Health, they actually announced that the mural can remain, while the building owner will be fined for doing the mural without approval. But then they would also install a plaque at the bottom left-hand corner of the mural that talks about how stresses that cigarette depiction is not intended to glamorize or promote tobacco use. And smoking has been shown to be extremely harmful to oneself. So setting the context for what the art piece is, right? That's the general TLDR of what happened there. But what were your thoughts when this whole debate about the mural was happening? What were you thinking about it?
Okay, I think there's a few things, right? Because the actual thing is more of like pause, like the procedure was not done right. There was no permit gotten and stuff like that, right?
yeah.
But I think on the mural itself, I feel there's nothing wrong. I feel that it's like, that's how they would be. And so I think it's a bit too much when I heard when say that, oh, they look like prostitute. I'm like, come on, like how is it that should we look at women then? Like how is it a look of a prostitute and how is it a woman that looks like very decent? Like
But weren't some people saying that the Samsui women, they were wrinkled, endured hardships? They're not like, like sitting there and just smoking a cigarette, staring at the camera. Because that woman in the mural does look like she's posing for a picture or something like, right? Do you think that there's any validity in that criticism of that mural?
I mean, like, she's seated down, she's not squatting, like what's usually depicted. I mean, it's okay to sit on the seats, right? It's fine. I think it's normal I think it's an accurate representation.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, and they are young.
Yeah,
they came
yeah.
young. So I think because a lot of times when we see a lot of the murals out there, it's about them being at a certain age.
Yeah.
So it's very depending on which snapshot are you taking. Is it maybe 1930s, 1940s kind of thing?
And it's interesting you say that because 40 years ago when that Mediacorp drama was being produced, one of the lead actresses, Zheng Hui-fen herself said, who can say that the workers who first came over in the 1930s were not young and beautiful too? We may not be able to portray them as faithfully in the drama, but I'm sure we can show the women's virtues such as hard work and determination to take on life however hard it may be. So I think, even 40 years ago, they were saying that, yes, we are actresses and we're playing a certain character, but who's to say that these Samsui women were not, beautiful, attractive women when they were young as well? And it's more about the virtues and what they signal that's more important than how they look like, right?
So were you surprised by the reaction where people found that depiction a bit inaccurate and all?
Yeah, I was very surprised. Like, what? Like, this kind of things, you can argue about it. Yeah, I'm like, no, yeah. So I'm glad that at least the Samsui Gun was also asked for as an interview to sort of like respond. Yeah, so I'm perfectly fine with that.
Yeah. So, I mean, when that whole thing was happening as well, what was it also bringing a lot of attention to what you do every day?
Well, a lot of friends text me and say, hey, by the way, there's this thing. I was like, okay, great. So me and Pauline just went down there and take a photograph of it. we dressed up to take a photograph. Like do Samsui women smoke?
Haresh, you remember that debate? I think we probably even debated it on the podcast and everything. But what do you feel about that whole thing? Like, what did it teach you about Singaporeans?
I mean, quite myopic in their view because I mean at the same time, like I remember the show Samsui Women, and of course everybody has this idea in their head that it's old women and all. But I mean, I actually like that it showed a different side and a more human side because I mean, smoking in Singapore at that point in time, like smoking was so much more prevalent. So of course the odds of her smoking are there. So I had no issue. In fact, I thought it was actually super cool. So I was disappointed in the reactions.
I mean, I actually saw the mural recently. I brought a couple of friends from overseas to see the mural. And I was just explaining to them the whole context of it. Then I actually saw that little plug itself. And I was actually very happy because to me, there was a very big debate and heated and everything. But at the end of the day, if we all can agree that, okay, as long as we contextualize what the art piece is, and then we can move on with life, it showed that as a country, as a people, we can have very different opinions about things, but it doesn't mean that, we have to censor each other or stop anything. And that compromise of putting a plug there, even though it sounds kind of ridiculous and everything, that compromise, it shows that, that's how we kind of have to adapt to coming from different cultures or different expectations of how things should be.
As opposed to replacing it with a pencil or something.
I think there were discussions, right?
Oh my gosh.
There were depictions to put even her holding a cat or something, which would be completely inaccurate, right? I think you would have like rolled over and like your eyes would have gone to the back of your head.
Yeah, or like saying like, I think all these people who complain should just come for the tour.
Exactly. So I mean, that's essentially the story of the Samsui woman. I mean, for Lynn, what's in the the immediate future for bridging generations and what you're doing to promote more about our Samsui women stories?
So right now we're also on Cultural Pass.
Okay.
Yeah, so everyone who has $100 credits can actually come for our tour, understand more about the heritage. And also we are also curating a lot more different her stories. So what you see is actually the red headgear. There's also stories of the black headgear, the blue headgear, the lesser known ones. Yeah.
Oh, I see.
nice,
So
nice.
there's different headgear.
Yes, not the ranking.
Okay.
So and then, but for you, Haresh, like after from your initial very layperson understanding of like the Samsui woman, what do you feel about it now?
I mean, like the layperson understanding was when I was younger, Terence. Since then, I've gotten more informed, lah. But I would say there were definitely things that I didn't know, and it almost feels like they were a group of superwomen, lah. You know, like you see all these things about the Spartans, and like even Wonder Woman came from an island full of like the Athenians or something.
Yeah.
Like so it feels like this Samsui women, they have so much history, and like it feels like people don't know enough, myself included.
Yeah. And that's where I think, like anyone who has any little bit of interest in it, to go and check out the tour that Lynn leads, because like she said, like the stories, if we don't take charge of them and tell those stories and teach them to our younger generations, someone else will do it for us, and it won't be the accurate stories already.
Yeah.
So if you're hearing this for the first time, just remember you heard it first on Tell You First. Tell You First is produced by Ministry of Funny and brought to you by Mediacorp. This episode was hosted and produced by Terence, Chia and Haresh Tilani and featured Lynn Wong. Sound engineering by Tristen, Yeak. Special thanks to Koordi from Mediacorp. And if you're a fan of our work, you can follow the podcast on the Melisten App, Spotify or Apple Podcasts. You can also watch this episode first on the Melisten App or on YouTube 1 week later through the Mediacorp Entertainment channel. Links to these will be in the episode description. Thank you for listening and see you on the next episode of Tell You First.